Welcome to the Math SDI Toolkit Overview video. For a deeper understanding of the Math SDI selection process, contact your regional cooperative math consultant for additional training support. This is a product of the State Math Task Group, developed collaboratively as a tool to increase the support and effectiveness of SDI in mathematics. This graphic shows where SDI fits in the IEP development process. As an ARC team selects the most appropriate SDI, we must have already identified present levels, special factors, and our annual goal. We use the previous steps to inform our decisions about SDI and instruction. Once an annual measurable goal has been developed for a student, the ARC must determine the appropriate specially designed instruction that will be delivered to help the student reach that goal. The Math Toolkit is a companion document to other resources available. These are resources that KDE provides. You may be familiar with these already. While these resources are important to have in your toolbox, they are not specific to math. Now let's take a look at how to navigate the Math SDI Toolkit. The Math SDI Toolkit consists of the Math SDI tool and the supporting document for the Math SDI tool. You will have access to the tool using the QR code or the link. Be aware the link is case sensitive. The purpose of the Math SDI Toolkit is to improve the quality and selection of the specially designed instruction while strengthening the connection across IEP goals, progress monitoring, and Kentucky academic standards in math. This is certainly not an exhaustive list of all the appropriate or evidence-based strategies for SDI. This tool is designed to highlight limited samples of appropriate SDI. As you open the tool, it begins with the table of contents. You also have a hyperlink to take you directly to the supporting document in blue. Items in the table of content are grouped into 4 big ideas: number systems and operations, algebra and functions, geometry and measurement, and finally, data, statistics, and probability. Under each category, there is an alphabetized list of areas of concerns, which are hyperlinked to their location within the Math SDI tool. Above the table, you will find the header for each big idea. In parentheses after the header are the domains from the Kentucky academic standards that you might find in this section. Under each category or big idea, the area of concerns are listed in the first column, not alphabetically, but by progressing through the levels of complexity within each big idea, starting from the earlier grade level concerns to more advanced math content concerns. In the middle column, there are some problem indicators that might occur within this area of concern. These problem indicators will likely fit most of the student situations you observe. However, these are not an exhaustive list of problem indicators. Problem indicators here are alphabetized, not by the order of importance or effectiveness. In the last column, there are some possible evidence and or research-based SDI strategies listed that might be used for these problem indicators. SDIs are alphabetized and not ordered by importance or effectiveness. Explicit instruction in has a separate list that is alphabetized. Most of the SDI's strategies are hyperlinked to the supporting document, where you will find in-depth information about the strategies and or additional links to external resources. Remember, these strategies do not represent all of the possible or appropriate SDI strategies. However, all of the SDI strategies listed in this document are evidenced and or research-based. Included at the end of each section, there will be sample goals that are specific to the big idea section. The purpose is to demonstrate the connection between the SDI selection process and the IEP goal. These goals are not universal. as each annual goal should be written considering individual student needs and present level data. In the sample goal section, you will also find linked sample probes designed for progress monitoring. These limited samples of IEP goals and progress monitoring probes serve as an example of how the goal, progress monitoring, and SDI should be aligned.
Now let's take a look at the supporting document for the Math SDI tool. To access the support document, you may click on the hyperlink at the top of the Math SDI tool above the table of contents. Or if you click on one of the hyperlinks in the SDI column, the link will take you to the bookmark in the support document where you will find more information. Let's take a look at how the support document is organized. The support document describes some general tools about specially designed instruction and elaborates on many of the strategies listed in the Math SDI tool, providing an added layer of support. The first page further defines SDI with some additional resources. As you scroll down, you will locate the General Tools and Strategies section. The General Tools and Strategies are alphabetized. Each strategy is hyperlinked for a deeper dive. Sometimes your SDI will be found within the section listed as a blue hyperlink. We will explore this more in the upcoming slides. Now we'll model how to use the SDI tool with a goal based on a scenario for a specific student. Remember, this is not a present level, but a scenario to set the stage for modeling the process. Stephen's scenario. Stephen's relative strength is that he can count verbally forward to 10 and backward from 10. He is unable to consistently count objects accurately. He has no method to keep track of what he is counting. When counting within 20, Stephen is unable to communicate the total. When presented with a collection, he has difficulty counting the quantity of objects and has difficulty structuring the collection for counting. Remember where SDI fits in the IEP development process? We use the previous steps to inform our decisions about SDI and instruction. We have our goal based on the highest priority need. In this case, the goal is, when given 8 tasks with up to 20 objects, Stephen will count using one-to-one correspondence with 75% accuracy on 4 out of 5 trials as measured by a teacher-developed probe given weekly. This is a direct measure. Step 1 in the process is to align the goal and a potential area of concern. In this case, our area of concern selected is one-to-one correspondence. Step 2 in the process is to align that to problem indicators. In this case, we have selected keeping track of objects counted as the problem indicator for Stephen. Step 3, the final step, is to consider the individual student's ability and select the most appropriate SDI suggestions, looking at examples and background information before implementing anything. In the goal, the student will count using one-to-one correspondence, and that also is one of the common areas of concern listed within the table of contents. You may be able to find your area of concern here or within the tool itself. Note in step 2, there may be other problem indicators, but read through all the indicators to see if the student exhibits similar behaviors. This is a list of common problem indicators, but there are other possibilities. This is not a one-size-fits-all document. The idea is to know your students' individual needs and what SDI could support them in achieving their goal. Then use the problem indicators section to identify a specific problem area you might notice in student work or performance.
Finally, in step 3, you will be exploring possible SDIs. Before choosing an SDI, consider the individual student's abilities and unique needs. Then select the most appropriate strategy to accelerate the student's progress toward the goal. In the SDI section, you'll find evidence and/or research-based strategies to provide a starting point for specially designed instruction. Remember, these strategies do not represent all of the possible or appropriate SDI strategies. Before selecting the SDI, review Stephen's unique needs. Keep in mind, this scenario represents information that we currently have for Stephen that might help us develop a present level statement. After reviewing Stephen's unique needs, it is time to select the most appropriate strategy to accelerate the student's progress toward the goal. Here, you may explore more information about possible SDIs by clicking on the hyperlinks. For example, based on the unique needs of Stephen, the teacher may want to explore the multisensory teaching strategies found under explicit instruction. Please note that there are several bullets to explore under explicit instruction. After reviewing the strategy in the support document, ensure the suggestion is aligned to the student's IEP annual goals. The hyperlink will take you to the multisensory instruction strategy section. Here, you will have the opportunity to explore multisensory instruction. You may wish to explore other evidence-based or research-based SDIs, but after determining the most appropriate SDI, your next step would be to add it to the IEP document. Keep in mind that these are evidenced and/or research-based suggestions and not an exhaustive list, as there may be other more appropriate SDI to meet the unique needs of your student. Now that the ARC committee has selected the SDI, we are ready to complete the student's IEP goal in Infinite Campus. If you are choosing an SDI from the toolkit or from other resources, it may not be listed in the drop-down menu. You will need to type it into the form field. Keep in mind that selecting appropriate SDI should be more involved than simply choosing items from a drop-down list, as it requires input from all stakeholders within the ARC. This is what you may see after the SDI has been selected within Infinite Campus. The process for this particular goal is now complete. This has been an overview of the Math SDI Toolkit. Thank you for your participation. If you have questions or for more information, please reach out to your regional math consultant or regional technical assistance center.